to read probably 2 chapters. See how it goes. So, Sam Silver, the Sea Monster. Chapter 1. Sam Silver raced up the high street of Backwater Bay and skidded through the door of his parents' fish and chip shop. "I'm home," he yelled as he sped past his mother and up to their flat on the first floor. He was too busy to stop and chat. He was on a mission. It had been a long, hard day of spellings and maths at school, and he promised himself an exciting pirate adventure to help him recover. His friends had exciting pirate adventures by reading about them in books or playing in computer games, but Sam had an amazing secret. He found a magic coin that could whisk him off to join Captain Blade's crew on board the Seawolf, a pirate ship from over 300 years ago. And the great thing was that when he was back in 1706 looking for treasure and fighting sea battles, not 1 second went by in the present, so no one ever missed him. Since his mum would definitely notice if he'd got his school uniform blown up by cannonballs or nibbled by sharks, Sam always wore an old t-shirt and jeans on his time travels. He pulled his drawer open to find them and stopped in horror. Normally, they were crumpled up at the back behind his socks. Today, they were lying neatly folded right on top. And, which was worse, they'd been washed and ironed. Sam had a horrible sinking feeling as if someone had pulled a plug in his tummy. It would be bad enough wearing clean clothes in a pirate ship, but he suddenly remembered that he'd left his magic doubloon in his jeans. He'd taken the coin from the bottle on his shelf to set off on an adventure last night when his mum had appeared at his bedroom door. He quickly shoved the coin into his pocket, and that's where it was now. At least, he hoped so. Suppose it had been washed out of his jeans and into the water and disappeared forever down the drain. Frantically, he searched, turning his trousers inside out and shaking them hard. Nothing. He was never going to see his buccaneer friends again. Then he realised he'd missed the tiny pocket under the waistband. He pushed 2 fingers in. It was empty. The washing machine has eaten his precious coin. Wait a minute. What about the time he left a football medal among his clothes? His mum found it in the rubber band bit around the door of the machine. Maybe that's where the doubloon would be. But as Sam raced into the kitchen, he nearly fell over a man's overalls who was taking the washing machine apart. Sam's face fell. "It looks bad, doesn't it?" said the man cheerily. "This pipe's jammed. There's something stuck in it." "What is it?" asked Sam. "Not sure," said the man. "It's hard to tell with all the muck in there." He fed a rod down the pipe. Sam held his breath. The man pulled a large lump of sludge and poked about at it. "Got it," he said at last, holding up a dirty metal disc. "It's a coin. Bit funny looking, though." He went to give it a wipe with a cloth. "No!" cried Sam, scared that if the man rubbed it, he'd be the one to disappear back into 1706. "It's mine," he added quickly. "Thanks, I'll take it." Sam ran back to his room. He had to find out if his gold doubloon still worked. It wasn't meant to go through the wash. Its special power had probably been flushed away. He pulled on his horribly neat t-shirt and jeans, and then he spat on the coin and gave it a rub. At once, he was whooshed up inside a dark, spinning tunnel. He'd been silly to think that the washing machine could have destroyed the magic. The coin just needed a bit of silver spit and polish. "Seawolf, here I come," he yelled. In an instant, Sam found himself sprawled across the floor of a small room surrounded by wooden barrels and coils of rope. Awesome. He was back in the storeroom of the Seawolf. The ship was swaying beneath his feet as he put on his jerkin, neckerchief and belt and picked up his spyglass. His friend Charlie always made sure they were left for him. Charlie was the only member of the crew who knew he came from the 21st century. The others believed that each time he disappeared, he had just dashed off home to help his poor widowed mum on a farm. None of his shipmates thought that this was odd, as pirates love their mothers more than anything else. Sam stowed the coins safely in his pocket. Then he ran out of the storeroom and made for the deck, taking the steps in 3 bounds. The crew were busy splicing ropes, mending sails and climbing the rigging. They sang cheerfully. They sang a cheerful sea shanty as they worked in the hot Caribbean sunshine. Sam could see Charlie helping Ned, the bosun, mend the broken piece of the starboard rail. Ned swung his hammer in time to the song, joining in the chorus with a booming voice. Captain Blade stood close by, peering at the map. He was pulling at the braids in his beard, deep in thought. "Head south, shipmates," he ordered. "I warrant the French treasure galleons will be coming that way." "Aye," cried the stubbly-faced man with the wooden leg. He turned the ship's wheel to set the course. "And with this fair wind we'll be meeting them before midday, or my name's not Harry Hop." "Excellent," thought Sam. "I've just got back in time for a treasure hunt." "Main sail, all correct, Captain," came a cry from above his head, and Fernando shot down the rigging, his hands and feet moving so fast that they were a blur. "Do you want me on lookout now?" "No need for that," called Sam, running to the middle of the deck. "I'm here and ready for duty in the crow's nest." Fernando let out a Spanish exclamation and slapped Sam hard on the back, a huge grin on his face at the sight of his friend. "Oh, excuse me. I still yawn when I read. I know, it's terrible, isn't it?" "Sam Silver," declared the captain. "By Jupiter's chariot, how did you get to us a day's sail from land? You couldn't have swum that far." Sam was always so excited at being back on the Seawolf that he never remembered to think of how he might have got there. He said that he'd popped back from 300 years in the future. They'd all think that he'd lost his wits. "He must have climbed aboard at Tortuga when we stopped for provisions," said Charlie, coming to his rescue as usual. "That's right," said Sam gratefully. "We never saw you," said Harry Hop, frowning. "That's because—" Sam began, thinking furiously. "That's because he was asleep in the hold," said Charlie. "He was snoring like a warthog. And I'm surprised you didn't hear him." "I was exhausted by the time I got here," added Sam. "My mum wanted me to muck out the pigs and milk the goat before I left." "What a dutiful son," said Harry. "Your poor mother," added Ned, the bosun, wiping away a tear. "Managing the whole farm on her own?" "Well, I'm very grateful she could spare you," said Captain Blade. "Get up to that crow's nest, lad. We need you to keep a weather eye out for the friendships laden with treasure." Sam didn't need telling twice. "Aye, aye, Captain," he cried happily. Chapter 2. Sam had just started climbing the rigging when there was a flutter of green feathers and a parrot landed on the rope in front of him. It began chewing at the nearest knot. "Hello, Crow," said Sam in delight. "What are you up to?" "Take that pesky bird aloft with you," yelled Ned, waving his hammer. "He's been mad hungry these past few days, gnawing at anything he'd find. I've had to replace 2 chair legs and half of the ship's rail." "But not before I'd sat on the chair and gone tumbling," growled Harry Hop. "That varmint will be after my wooden leg next." "Don't be too hard on him," said Peter the cook. "You know he's been ill." "He didn't eat for a week." "That's because you fed him oyster stew," said Charlie. Crow turned his head on one side and peered at Sam. Then he flew onto the shoulder and began to nibble at the leather jerkin. "Poor thing," said Sam, stroking his crest. "I know what's wrong," he told the crew. "It's not that he's hungry. If he's been ill, his beak will have overgrown. Parrots' beaks grow all the time, and they have to gnaw on wood and things to trim them. They don't gnaw when they feel unwell. So now Crow's got an extra gnawing to do to get his beak back to normal." "How do you know that?" asked Peter. "Oops," thought Sam. "I can't tell them that I heard it on a school trip to the zoo." My mum told me," Sam blustered. "She's got loads of spare parrots on her farm." Captain Blade shuddered. "Sounds like a terrible place." The bold Captain Blade, who would fight 10 men at one go, was scared stiff of parrots. Harry Hop said it was because one of the feathered fiends had dive-bombed him in his crib, but all the pirates told a different tale about their leader's one fear. Sam swung up the rigging, the parrot gripped tightly to his shoulder. As he climbed over the side of the crow's nest, the parrot flapped onto the flagpole and started attacking it with his beak. Sam swept the horizon with his spyglass. On the port side, a few ships were sailing by in the distance, but none was flying the plain white French flag. Excuse me. Sam looked to the starboard. A single vessel seemed to be heading their way. He checked the flag at the top of the mast. As the wind caught it, he could make out a shark over a skull and crossbones. "Pirate ship ahoy!" he yelled. "Dead ahead!" "Let's see if they want to share their booty with us, lads," cried Harry Hop eagerly. "Get ready to persuade them." "I recognise that ship," reported Fernando. "It's the Truro." But Sam had spotted something strange. "What's happened to her?" he called down. "The sails are flapping loose. There's no sign of life." He heard the captain burst out laughing. "I think our crafty friends are trying to outwit us. They're pretending they're abandoned ship. And as soon as we get close by, they'll attack," warned Ned. "Go carefully, men," ordered Harry. "We'll show them that we're no fools." The crew ran to man the cannon. As they sailed closer to the ship, Sam saw that parts of the Truro's hull had been smashed. The rigging was in shreds and the mizzen mast torn from the deck. "I don't think it's a trick," he exclaimed. "Looks like she's had a fight and the men are gone. Shiver me timbers." "The boy's right," agreed Harry in surprise. He shouted orders to the crew. "Go about and get alongside. There may still be some pickings for us." The crew quickly tethered the two ships together and laid a plank bridge between them. Sam sped down the rigging and ran to the captain. "Permission to go aboard with the others, sir?" he asked. Blade nodded. "Follow me," he commanded. "Weapons at the ready. This could still be a trick." Ben Hudson, the quartermaster, threw Sam a cutlass, and Sam climbed onto one of the planks after Blade. The sea churned far below. Being so high reminded of him of being at Monkey World at Backwater Bay, where you climbed all the trees and went along incredibly long zip wires, except that there were no helmets or safety ropes here. In fact, there was nothing between him and the ocean. Sam felt his legs tingle with terror and excitement. He leapt onto the deck of the Truro. Charlie, Fernando and Ned followed, with the other crew members close behind. "Well, knock me down with a conker," declared Ned. "This is a strange mess." Knives and cutlasses lay scattered all over the place. Ben put his hand on the cannon. "Stone cold," he said. "I'd bet all the treasure in Trinidad that this hasn't been fired." "I agree," said Captain Blade. "It looks as if there's been a fight, but where are the bodies?" "Go carefully, shipmates," moving cautiously forwards. Sam noticed a dark liquid splattered all over the boards and seeping into the wood. Blood. He thought with horror. Then he realised it was more black than red. "Check this out," he told Charlie. They bent down to inspect it. "I think it's ink." "That's odd," she replied. "Why would anyone spill ink in the middle of a battle? It's not the time to be writing letters." A terrified cry filled the air as the man leapt out from the hatch in the deck, eyes wild in his pale face. He rounded on them all, waving a broken oar. "Get away from me! I'll fight!" he quavered, his words tailing off as he stared at them. "I'll fight!" he repeated with a sob. "Is he mad?" asked Fernando. The captain put the pistol in his belt and held out his hands towards the gibbering man. "It's Jem Plunkett, isn't it?" he said. "Ship's carpenter." "Aye," gasped Jem, collapsing in front of them, his makeshift weapon clattering down beside him. Blade gripped his shoulder. "What's been going on here?" he asked. "Where is everyone?" "Gone," croaked Jem. He looked around at them, horror all over his face. They were taken. He gulped hard. They were plucked from the ship like ants. "He is crazed," declared Ned. "No, I swear it," said the Truro pirate, clutching at the captain's sleeve. "It rose out of the waves and ate them in front of my very eyes." "What did?" asked Charlie in a frightened whisper. "A huge sea monster." Now we have it. We're up to chapter 3. As always, thank you for being amazing. Keep with the home learning.